Hello everyone! Welcome! This is Julia. Thank you so much for joining me on my craft room adventures. And this is also the third installment of my Get Cracking on Christmas series that I'm doing for the challenge by Jen Shirkus. This is actually also a 2-in-1 challenge because it's also with my friend Lien for our ChallengeACraftyFriend. And this time the theme was just to make a Christmas card using the Oak Christmas Tree stamp set by Hello Bluebird. And to start off, I stamped out all of the images from the Oak Christmas Tree stamp set onto Neenah Solar White cardstock with Gina Amalgam ink, and I'm coloring again with Copics. I'm also going to be adding a little deer from the stamp set, but I already had that colored off for a different project, so I didn't color this again for this video. For my fox and also for the squirrel, I'm using E11, E13, and E15. I will just be showing one of them just to save a little bit of time. For most of those, I can't cut out too much because I actually just colored multiple images, just the darkest shade, then medium, and so on and so forth. So I can't edit out, or I didn't edit out too much because that would have just been a lot of awkward cuts. So I hope you don't mind. If you don't like to enjoy the coloring, just skip ahead. I'm just using the C0, C1, and C3 for the bunnies. Just adding 2 layers like I usually do. Here, just blending everything out with a C0. For the star topper for my tree, I'm using Y00, Y11, and Y21. For the bear, I'm using E50 markers. My darkest shade is the E53, then blending that out with the E51, and my lightest shade is the E50. I didn't want him to be too dark, so I'm just adding a little bit of shading on the side, leaving the lightest areas just completely white until my second layer is done, and then just blending that out with the E50 over the entire image. I'm just also lightly adding some strokes of the E50 to the belly. Not a lot, just so that it's not so stark white. For my birds, I decided to go with a little bit more natural bird color this time, so I'm using E40 markers, E40, E41, and E43. And also a little bit of Y17 for the beaks. I'm using E55 and E57 for the tree trunk. And unfortunately, I didn't realize that my camera cut out the coloring of the tree, but I did grab a screenshot of where I placed the caps, and I just used the G00, G02, G17, and G29 to color in the tree. Again, using some E40 markers for the packages because I thought just, some regular packing paper with some colored bows would be pretty. I have the G40 and E40 and E41 on screen here, but I will also be going in with a little bit more shading with the E43 because that just really wasn't getting dark enough for my taste. There I'm going in with the E43, and I ended up liking that a whole lot better. Now for the bows and also the scarves and hats for my critters, I'm using some teal colors and pinks. For my more reddish pink, I'm using RV63, RV66, and RV69. And I'm just using that for lots of the little Christmas ornaments, the little, what is it called? Garland? Is that what it's called? Or, no, it's not. I'm gonna go with garland. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. And also the hat and the scarf on my bear, and I'm also going to add it to one of the hats of the birds, and I believe the squirrel. Just going over with the RV66 now with everything. I laid down the RV69 first, and now blending out with RV63. I realized that on some of the elements I actually forgot the RV66, so I just went over that, and now going in with the RV63 to blend everything together. For the Christmas ornaments and the bows and everything, I didn't go in with 2 layers because there really wasn't that much room to do a lot of blending. I'm also using the Y21 that I used before just to add a little topper to all of the ornaments. Again with the RV 63, 66, and 69 for the scarf there. And I also forgot to color in the little hat of the bird, so I just did that off camera with the same colors. For my teals, I'm using BG01, BG05, and BG09. Going in with my darkest shade, the BG09, laying down that color. Went with the scarf on the fox and one of the bunnies, and also the other hat on the bird. Now blending that out with a BG05. And now filling the rest in with a BG01. For the rest of the images, I'm using some RV000, R81, and R85, which is just more of a pink color compared to the RVs, which are more purplish. And I really like how they looked all together. Now I'm going in with the little blush trick that I used before, which is using actual makeup blush to add some flesh to the cheeks of my critters, and just using a Q-tip to blend everything out. And I still can't believe that this actually works, but I really like it. For my scene, I die cut 3 hill panels using the Grassy Knoll die set by Hello Bluebird, and I'm just ink blending it with some milled lavender oxide ink. Also, I did film this card over several days, so don't be alarmed by different sleeve colors and everything, because it took me a few days to finish this one. Just blending the tops of the hills with a milled lavender, just so that it's not so stark white against the background that I will be blending. And for the background, I die cut what I'm gonna call A2 extended or A2 plus, which is 8.5, the length of a slimline card, but the width of a regular A2 size card, which is 4.25. And I really like this size because you have a lot of room to just play with and add images, and for my kind of cards, which are mostly scene cards, I just love it. Going in with a stripe of the milled lavender first. I did add quite a bit of it because I wanted it intense. Then going in with picked raspberry. Also going in a bit more heavy-handed than I usually do, but since I will be adding a lot of darker colors around the edges, I really wanted those to pop. Next up is Wilted Violet. Going in with picked raspberry again just to blend that out. I just wiped off my brush a bit for the blending so that there's not that much pigment on it. And it really did take me a while to get a good blend on these colors. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't having a great blending day. Now going in with chipped sapphire on the top and also on the bottom, because I wanted to add like a night sky. Just going over the edges, the top and the bottom, just so that there's this stripe of color right in the center. Adding more blue just to darken it up. Then I'm going in with black soot, or not yet. Just blending out the chipped sapphire a bit more. Using a bit of the milled lavender for a good blend between the blue. And now I'm adding black soot to really darken up the night sky. Just adding as much as I think I need to make it really look as dark as I can get it with the oxides. Just seeing how far I needed to blend it. Then going over the black soot again with a chipped sapphire to get it more of a blue tint at the edges. And now I'm going to add lots of splatters. I'm using the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleedproof white and a little bit of water for the white splatters. And I'm also using some silver metallic watercolor, which is by a company called Coliro, and I believe that's Finetec in America. And the color is called Sterling Silver. I just added some water to the pan, and then I'm just also going to add quite a few splatters of that. And that finishes up the sky. So I knew I wanted to add quite a few elements to the scene, so I went ahead and did my embellishments first, just so that they have lots of time to dry and I don't have to, try to fiddle around at awkward angles just to get it to, get it on there. So I just used some Nouveau crystal glaze on the ornaments, the little garland, and also the star tree topper. I die cut the Christmas Words, I think it's Christmas Words 1 die set. The Fa La La, I cut it 3 times out of white cardstock and 1 out of silver glitter cardstock, and I'm just layering all of them together to create a bit of a chipboard look, just so that it has lots of dimension on my card. Just making sure they all line up, adding a few more dots of liquid glue. I'm using the Lawn Fawn glue tube. And now I'm adding a bit more glue than I did to the other layers because glitter cardstock usually has this slick coating on the back, and I just wanted to make sure that it holds well. But also not that much that it would ooze out on the sides. I set that off to dry, and then it was time to stamp my sentiment. I decided to go with the Season's Greetings from the Oh Christmas Tree stamp set, and I'm going to heat emboss that in silver. I just used my embossing buddy and my Versamark ink to stamp it. And the embossing powder I'm using is Ranger Super Fine Embossing Powder in silver. Just using a brush to get off any stray embossing powder bits. Off to the side, my heat gun was already heating up, and now I'm just running it over the panel until the embossing powder is smooth and melted. Now it's time to add some of the images to my scene add some of the images together before I can add them to my scene. I glued the tree topper on the tree, and now I'm just giving all of my critters some ornaments to hold, because from the stamp set there are some that have just the little gold, or however you call it, topper, and some also have the hook, so that those are the ones that the critter can actually place on the tree, which I really love. As you saw in the coloring, I did color some of the ornaments in this teal color, but I played a little bit with it off screen, and I did like the tree better with just the pink ones on there, so those are just the ones that I will be using. Now I'm just using my reverse tweezers to hold everything in place. Off camera, I also added foam tape to the back of my critters, just so that they have some dimension. And I also added foam tape to the backs of the hill panels, or the bottom two hill panels. The first one I will just be adhering with liquid glue. And now I'm adding shimmer pen to the scarves and the ribbon on the packages. And in a second I will also be adding some white gel pen embellishments, just some patterns, some polka dots and stripes, just to give the accessories a bit more interest. And the pen I'm using is a General 0.8. I added the layers of hills just with some foam tape, and now it's time to adhere the images to my scene. You'll see me fiddle around here quite a bit because I wasn't quite sure how I wanted it to lay out. I unfortunately had already removed the backing sheets of the foam tape for some weird reason, so I just carefully laid it down and then peeled it back up, which works if you don't press down the adhesive yet. So it turned out fine, but for the next time I really need to remember not to get ahead of myself and remove the foam tape just yet, or the backing paper. Now I'm just placing the gift packages around the Christmas tree just to fill that up a bit. Just using some liquid glue. Pressing it down, and now it's time to add the images back in, starting with my little bear, then the deer that I colored for a different project, but I also used the same colors as I did on the fox. Then adding the little fox in the middle. I did wanted to add one of the little garlands and also the other packages on one of the hills, but I didn't quite know where to place it, so I just just lightly laid down my images, removed them again. Now I'm using some liquid glue to stick all of those down. And now I'm bringing the critters back in. I did realize that I wanted the the beginning of this little garland to be covered by the squirrel so that it's behind him. So I scooted that over a bit. Now, bunny number 1 and bunny number 2. Now actually just, pressing them down so that they're adhered to the card. Now it was time to add the birds that hang the garland on the tree. I'm adding some ornaments to the tree so that it's a little bit decorated already. Unfortunately, one of the little ornaments I messed up with my tweezers because the glossy accent wasn't all the way hardened yet, but I just added it where it wasn't so obvious and it turned out fine. Last but not least, I needed to adhere the Fa La La die cut, just adding some liquid glue to the back and using my tweezers to figure out the placement. I did get it a little bit too far to the right at first, but I was able to just scoot it over a bit. And there we go. I'm also adding a little bit of snowfall glitter accents by Nouveau on the little baubles on the fox's scarf, on the hat of the bear, and also on the hats of the 2 little birds. I'm just running my tweezers or craft pick through those just to get them smooth, because the texture of the snowfall glitter accents is pretty, well, gritty, I guess. It doesn't come out as smooth as like a Nouveau drop would with all of the glitter in there, and that's why I just always have to, just take a little bit of a tool to get it to be smooth. And that finishes off my card for today. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I am having a lot of fun, even though it's April, just playing with some Christmas stamps. And I really like how it turned out. I hope you do as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will add the link to Lien's video in the description box down below. On screen, I will link to 2 more videos that may interest you. I would love it if you would consider subscribing for more crafty videos. Have a wonderful day, stay safe and healthy wherever you are. Bye!